जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधे राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा जय निताई गौरंग जय निताई गौरंग जय निताई गौरंग जय निताई गौरंग निताई गौरंग जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद।
जय विश्वपाद परमं सपरिवाजिक स्तोत्र शत श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाए। ISKCON संस्थाप्य receive the whole world जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाए। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जाए। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाए। षट गोस्वामी प्रभु की जाए। प्रेम से गौर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जाए। वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जाए। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाए। ताई गौर प्रेमानंद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service, Text 10. कामस्य नेन्द्रिय प्रीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्तो यश्चेह कर्मभिः। कामस्य नेन्द्रिय प्रीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्तो यश्चेह कर्मभिः। कामस्य नेन्द्रिय प्रीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्तो यश्चेह कर्मभिः। कामस्य प्रीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्तो यश्चेह कर्मभिः। कामस्य नेन्द्रिय प्रीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्तो यश्चेह कर्मभिः। कामस्य नेन्द्रिय प्रीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्तो यश्चेह कर्मभिः। कामस्य नेन्द्रिय प्रीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्त्वजिज्ञासा नार्थो यश्चेह कर्मभिः कामस्य of desires not indriya senses pritihi satisfaction labha gain jiveta self preservation yavata so much so jivasya of the living being tattva the absolute truth jignasa inquiries not artha end yah chahiya whatsoever else karma bihi by occupational activities. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Life's desire should never be directed toward sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Please repeat the translation. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The completely bewildered material civilization is wrongly directed toward the fulfillment of desires in sense gratification. In such civilization, in all spheres of life, the ultimate end is sense gratification. In politics, social service, altruism, philanthropy, and ultimately in religion or even in salvation, the every same tint of sense gratification is ever increasingly predominant. In the political field, the leaders of men fight with one another to fulfill their personal sense gratification. The voters adore the so-called leaders only when they promise sense gratification. As soon as the voters are dissatisfied in their own sense gratification, they dethrone the leaders. The leaders must always disappoint the voters by not satisfying their senses. The same is applicable in all other fields. No one is serious about the problems of life. Even those who are on the path of salvation desire to become one with the absolute truth and desire to commit spiritual suicide for sense gratification. But the Bhagavatam says that one should not live for sense gratification. One should satisfy the senses only in so much as required for self-preservation and not for sense gratification. Because the body is made of senses, which also requires a certain amount of satisfaction. There are regulative directions for satisfaction of such senses. But the senses are not meant for unrestricted enjoyment. For example, marriage or the combination of man with a woman is necessary for progeny, but it is not meant for sense enjoyment. In the absence of voluntary restraint, there is propaganda for family planning. But foolish men do not know that family planning is automatically executed as soon as there is search after the absolute truth. Seekers of the absolute truth are never allured by unnecessary engagements in sense gratification, because the serious students seeking the absolute truth are always overwhelmed with the work of researching the truth. In every sphere of life, therefore, the ultimate end must be seeking after the absolute truth. And that sort of engagement will make one happy, because he will be less engaged in varieties of sense gratification. And what that absolute truth is explained as follows. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachat Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha Kalpataruvishcha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Kamasya Nendriya Priti Labho Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jignasa Nartho Escheha Karma Bhi. So what is the life's goal is explained here by Srila Suta Goswami. Kamasya na indriya pritihi. So kamasya. So kama means life's desire. Kamasya na indriya pritihi. It should not be engaged in sense gratification. So that is what Suta Goswami is telling. The purpose of Kama is not to engage in sense gratification. So what it has to be engaged for? Jiveta yavata. Jivasya. So it is said Jiveta. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. And we'll understand what is healthy life or self-preservation. Yavata, since Jivasya. Yavata jivasya tattva jignasa. So self-preservation or healthy life is actually meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. That is actually to say yavata, jiveta. So jiveta, self-preservation. So it has to mainly meant for inquiry of the absolute truth. But not again for na artha karma bihi. It is not meant for economic development or any work for say like engaging in sense gratification. So this is connected to the previous verse which Suta Goswami says, Dharmasya hi apavargasya nartho arthayopakalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamo labeta labaya hi smrita. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. So, and today's verse, we have seen that Kamasya Nendriya Priti. Life's desire should not be directed towards sense gratification. These two verses are interconnected. So now the question may arise. In the Vedic scriptures, the Purusharthas are explained. What are the Purusharthas? Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. So in general, if anybody you ask, so what is the purpose of life? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So but Bhagavatam says, that is not the purpose of life. So we can see the second verse of Bhagavatam says that Dharma projita kaita vatra paramo nirmat saranam satam. It just kicks away all kinds of false religious activities. Something projita kaitava dharma. A cheating kind of religion is completely kicked off. So, Vedic scriptures describe about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Is that also cheating religion? Yes, that is also cheating religion. So that's why Bhagavatam is been explained as Amala Purana. This Vedic scriptures, what is being written by Veda Vyas is actually not complete. So it had malas. So he wanted all class of people, those who are in Rajoguna and Tamoguna also to have some regulations. So that is how the entire Vedic scriptures are designed. So just for Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Slowly a person will get elevated and come to follow some religious principles, Dharma. Then from that you get Artha, economic development. Economic development can be used for Indriya Tripti, that is Kama. Your desires can be fulfilled. After you get baffled, you get frustrated with Indriya Tripti, then a person comes to Moksha. That is how Veda Vyasa had designed the entire, although he had written all the 4 scriptures, the 4 Vedas and Mahabharata, still there was a despondency, dissatisfaction in the heart of Srila Vyasadeva. He was feeling very morose. Hare Baba, I have done such a good activity, Loka Kalyanartham, such a wonderful activity. Writing scriptures, elevating the common mass of people to come to a stage where there is some kind of restrictions and all those things and slowly elevate them to moksha. But still there was a vacuum created in Vedavyasa's heart. One fine day he is sitting and contemplating what has happened. It's always one thing we have to remember. In our day-to-day life also, when we perform devotional service, sometimes there is a vacuum created, dissatisfied. So we should sit and contemplate, like Vedavyasa. So Vedavyasa sat and contemplated what was his mistake. He understood that I have not done justice to all these souls. Although I may feel that I have done so, you can't even imagine what is the kind of work what is Vedavyasa has written. Laborious. A common man cannot write so many literatures, Vedic literatures, and Mahabharata, and everything is recorded, kept. For he is foreseeing the people of Kali are also coming. Manda, Sumanda, Matayo, Manda, Bhagya, Upadrita. Seeing all these conditions, Vedavyasa wrote all these literatures. Doing all these things, he is feeling despondent. So in the 5th chapter, there is a description where it is given that why Vedavyasa was despondent. We can see this kind of, Prabhupada also mentions about some research. Nowadays, scientists or somebody who is doing some research on some topics, PG and postgraduate research and all they do. If you see in general, I was also reading one article where it is being mentioned that people do me research more. What is that me research? Actually, it is being advised for them to do some research on things which can actually benefit the human society. That is what they have to do. But unfortunately, what has happened is they are doing research on one's own self, with what they like. They are doing me research. That is how their study says that people are not interested in doing some research on topics which can help the human society. Rather, they are interested in something which is haunting them, some things which is running in their mind, and they are trying to do some research on that. It is all centered around their own body, that's all. That which is running in their mind and something about some kind of desire or whatever they have in their mind, they start doing some research, and after some time they give up and they take up one more topic of their own research, what they feel inclined to or interested to. That is, again, it is not something spiritual. The spiritual aspects starts when they understand that they are not the body, they are spirit soul. They are actually not doing the actual research what they are supposed to do. Tattva jijnasa. They are not doing that. So that's why it is being said that this kind of research actually ends in nothing. It's just like Prabhupada gives a nice example of a person saving a drowning man's coat. He's actually not saving the drowning man. The drowning man is asking for a help. But what he has done is went, swimmed across, and instead of helping the drowning man, saving him, he pulls out his coat and he's very happy and he's telling, I saved. Prabhupada says, it's so crazy. He's coming out and telling that, I saved this person. But actually he's saving his coat. And on top of that, he's making some research on this. He's giving analysis that how this coat is like that and this. And this is exactly what happens. If you do some research on the body and bodily necessities and how the body functions and other things, and it's already everything is given. You want to research on mind is already, it is given. Bhagavad Gita says that how that mind is so turbulent, more turbulent than the wind. Arjuna says that in Bhagavad Gita. So, like this, all the things are given, but they don't want to refer that, or they are interested in these topics. But what happens is, it ends up in being despondent like Vyasadeva. Exactly, when we perform devotional service also, we should actually sit and analyze. We should see that where we are actually doing, are we really doing devotional service, or is it personal sense gratification? So, in that way, we can actually understand where we have to step further. That's why in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions, Bhagavatam says that one should not live for sense gratification. One should satisfy the senses only in so much as required for self-preservation and not for sense gratification. Because the body is made of senses which also require a certain amount of satisfaction. They are regulative directions for satisfaction of such senses, but the senses are not meant for unrestricted enjoyment. Just if you take an example, if you just keep on eating anything and everything, what is available, so the body will start malfunctioning. So many issues may come. Similarly, anything in this material world, if you too much enjoy sense gratification, too much get indulged in intoxication or gambling, anything you do in this material world always creates a problem. It says ultimately it ends up in misery. So this is exactly what has happened. We can see the many examples are there in the scriptures. Bhagavatam gives example of Ajamila. Even small slight mistake, Ajamila fell from what practices he used to do. Even the example of Bharat Maharaj, slight inclination towards the baby deer, exalted personality. He was Mahabhagavata. He fell down. So just like it is, we can say this slightly. Let us enjoy slightly. That's all gone. Maya captures. It will not allow you to you come out of that the cycle. Just like there is an example that hunter tries to catch the monkeys. The way of catching monkeys is, what they do is make a cage in such a way that only the ants can go inside. To so much extent, you can take the ants like this, and if you fold or hold something and try to pull out, the ants will not come out. So what they do, that kind of cage they create and keep some nuts in between. So these monkeys will come and put its hand and tries to take out the nuts and tries to remove its hand, is getting stuck. So now monkey want to eat, what he'll do? He has to take it out, and so hunter is coming, but monkey also is feeling, oh, this nuts, I cannot live it. So I want it. So he's stuck up. And finally hunter will catch him. So this is exactly what happens when we indulge in sense gratification. So it is said that if somebody thinks that, okay, let me perform devotional service and also engage in sense gratification, that is dangerous. Srila Prabhupada in one place he says, for a transcendentalist, it is suicidal policy to be intimately in touch with the sense gratifiers of the world, because such a policy will frustrate the ultimate gain of life. So we can see that if you are having the parallel tendency of both, okay, let me do devotional service and also engage in sense gratification, then it is very dangerous. So this is exactly, we can see that Vyasadeva, he is sitting and wondering what has happened, where he went wrong. And he started telling that I worshipped Vedas, the spiritual masters, the altar of sacrificial fire, under strict disciplinary guidance and without pretense. And I have also abided the Vedic rulings. I have shown the import of the disciplic succession through the explanation of Mahabharata. Yet, although I am already fully equipped with everything needed in the matter of Vedic principles, I still feel wanting. It may be that I did not direct myself enough to the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to the perfect beings and to the infallible Lord. So Vedavyasa got the answer also. He understood. So somewhere I am wrong. I am not satisfied the Supreme Lord. So that is where we can see Prabhupada in this connection, he writes, if anybody is trying to attain perfection and he wants satisfaction in the heart, then he says that that is, you have to search beyond this material world. If somebody is thinking, okay, let me start searching for satisfaction, peaceful mind in this material world, actually, Prabhupada says that you have to search beyond this material world. You cannot get the peace or satisfaction in this material world. Actually, one Srila Prabhupada's anecdote, it is said that Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Calcutta, he was with his disciples, and one Mayavada Swamini, she came and she started telling about how her main organization is, and she is propagating peace, and he said you should also be one of the guest speaker and you should come, and so many things he was telling. And Prabhupada was very straightforward. He started telling that if you go to the toilet and you think that you make a space of living inside the toilet with nice sprays, you put nice perfume there, and you think that let me reside in this toilet, is it a good proposal? He started directly telling to that lady. She was shocked. What is he speaking? So again Prabhupada said, is it the proper and correct proposal? You want to stay inside the toilet? This material world is like a toilet. You are making plans how to stay in this toilet? No, please get out of it. And that lady also walked away. She didn't tell anything. So we can see that Prabhupada wanted, he is very clear. He wants to just take away all the conditioned souls back to Godhead. So here we can see that Prabhupada very clearly says that if you want satisfaction, if you want peace of mind, that you need to go beyond this material world, otherwise it is not possible. So that is the moment it is said that when Vyasadeva was sitting and contemplating and he got that maybe I have not satisfied my Supreme Lord, I have satisfied the Lord. That is the moment when his spiritual master arrives. They said that actually the Paramatma sitting inside will direct the Bahya Guru, the spiritual master, to the conditioned soul, especially when he is despondent. And he will reclaim the fallen conditioned soul, make him understand what is actual situation. So it is said that Narada came and in front of Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva offered obeisances and gave the seat to Narada Muni. And Narada Muni straight away started telling that, see, I know you are despondent, you are thinking why you are despondent. The reason, he says, that you are not broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. Anything that does not satisfy the senses of the Lord is considered worthless philosophy. You have done so many things, so many literatures you have written, but none of them is directly glorifying the Supreme Lord. That is where I said, this all the Purusharthas, the 4 Vedas he has written and Mahabharata is written, everything is written. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. The main understanding of Vyasadeva is slowly, one comes to the stage, some regular religious principles he'll follow, then he'll get some Artha out of it. From Artha, he'll satisfy his senses. After satisfying senses, he gets frustrated and take up for moksha. All these 4 are selfish things. It is not selfless. And Bhagavatam explains about selfless devotional service. So here Narada Muni is pointing out, you are telling something about selfishness. You are not directly glorified the Supreme Lord. Yes, definitely Vyasadeva has glorified the Supreme Lord. Here and there, little here and there, where somewhere, then it is like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the Vedas are like a forest, a very huge forest, and somebody can get lost into the forest. So one has to understand that ultimately what Vyasadeva is telling here, little here and there, it doesn't work. It's like a cover up, it's like icing. You can put anything and nicely cover it up. So people, what they'll do, they'll enjoy the icing only. The rest of the things is left out. So that is how we can see that Narada says that forget, what you have done is completely wrong. Instead of directly glorifying the Supreme Lord, you are so many Purusharthas and that, this and you have mentioned. And such kind of things, actually, we can see that people are more inclined, the dharma aspect and artha, kama, they'll know what is the formula to get artha, and they are engaged in kama, that's all. And nobody will be interested in moksha. Even if some little frustration happens, again they'll get indulged in this sense gratification, and nobody takes up moksha. More and more they engage in the indriya tripti, sense gratification, and they get stuck up in this material world. So in the name of religion, if somebody is just thinking that, okay, he may come to the next stage or moksha stage, that is not practical. They are completely engrossed. Just like there's a nice story which Srila Prabhupada says. He says about Kali worshipper. Kali worshipper comes to Mother Kali and he prays, please give me dhanam dehi, sufficient wealth so that I can enjoy my desires. So then he says that If at all you give all this good wealth, then immediately I'll offer one goat to you as a bali. I'll sacrifice a goat. So then he goes away, and very soon he becomes a rich person, and never ever he comes back to the temple. And one fine day, somehow he enters, he saw Kali temple. Because of her, I became rich. He entered inside temple, and again he started worshipping. And then Kali asked, what about that goat you were supposed to give? Why didn't you give? So this person says, goat, it's too costly. Nowadays it's become too costly. I inquired, then forget it, I cannot give goat. Then Kali asked, what is this? You're supposed to give goat? At least you give one pig. And this worthless, Prabhupada says, worthless Kali worshipper, he says, okay, I'll see if any pig is available, I'll bring it. So he goes, and after some time, very long time, he'll never come back also. Sometime again he comes to Kali. Then he worships, and then Kali again asks, where is the, you're supposed to give one pig. Pig, it's very difficult to catch it. Nowadays pig are become violent. I cannot bring pig also. Then Kali says, it's too bad. You said I'll give you, you promised that I'll give you goat, you never gave. You said I'll bring pig, that also you didn't do. At least give one fly. And this person, no, Prabhupada explains that this person says, fly? There's so many flies moving around you. Why don't you catch and keep it with you? And he just walks away. So Prabhupada says, this is the condition of a person who engages in sense gratification and forgets all these religious principles and all. Forget it. So this is how we can see that Vedavyasa has written all these things, all this, the Purusharthas. It's just like an anchor. One holds you. You cannot even come out. You can't take devotional service and sense gratification together. It's just like a person who is rowing. Unless he releases that anchor, he cannot go further. So one seriously wants to advance in spiritual life, he has to remove that anchor, the sense gratification anchor. So sense gratification is one thing which actually stops us to further progress. And Narada Muni specifically says that literatures, what you have written, is actually the garbage literature. This is also one shocking revelation which Narada Muni gives. It's a garbage literature. Why? Because he says, Nayad vachas chitra padam harer yasho jagat pavitram praganita karhichit tad vayasam tirtam ushanti manasa nayatra amsa nirammanti ushikshaya. He says, vayasam tirtam. Prabhupada says, tirtam, it's a gathering of crows. What? That literature which does not describe the glories about the Supreme Lord. It's very important to understand that you start reading anything and everything. Little, some in the cover page, Krishna, and inside, Prabhupada in one of the lectures was telling that they write about Krishna in a mundane aspect. They write about Gita in a mundane views, in their own understanding. And you are very liberal, you start reading all those things. It's supposed to be garbage for the crows. And in contrast, there is an example given by Srila Prabhupada. There are those literatures which are crystal clear and which is it's a swan's gathering. Swans come and actually release that. If you see, swans come to a very serene, very nice atmosphere. Hamsa, Amsa Sarovara, it is generally called. So it comes to a place where is very clean, crystal clear water is there. So these two birds examples are given in Shastras. One is crows and one is Hamsas. So now we have to decide whether we have to become crows or Hamsas. So Bhagavatam is for those who are Paramamsas. One has to develop that kind of inclination, desire to at least associate, at least 1 hour associate with Bhagavatam in our day-to-day life. At least let me read, let me see what Bhagavatam says. Especially if you see, this Bhagavatam is said to be Amala Purana, there is no spot at all. You can't even find out any mistake. Especially if you see the Narada Vyasa Samvada and where Narada is instructing Vyasadeva. Wonderful verses, wonderful. And on top of that, you can relish more on the purports of Srila Prabhupada. Wonderful purports. Especially for a sadhaka, you read once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. If you keep reading, you will get so many insights for a sadhaka, for especially your practitioner of devotional service. Wonderful. So these literatures where we have to take relish on. Prabhupada says Bhagavatam is sufficient for you to take you home back to Godhead. You need not read multiple literatures. So in that way, very clearly Narada Muni is telling that now you just concentrate on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, nothing else. Tell only about the Supreme Lord. So we need not, somebody may say, Prabhu, I already read Bhagavatam now. Now tell me next literature, next. If he says Chaitanya says, over, Chaitanya says, over. Now you tell me next. No, Bhagavatam, you keep reading it. You will feel that, I have not read previously. After reading thrice, 4 times, 5 times also, it looks like as if I am reading the first time. So that is Srimad Bhagavatam. That is Krishna. How much ever you read, new understanding and new realizations come out. It's like you unlimitedly keep milking a cow. Continuously it keeps coming out. The nectar keeps flowing. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. So, here in this particular verse we can see that how Prabhupada says that sense gratification, yes, sense gratification is required. In one place Prabhupada mentions that it's just like salt. Salt could be taken as much as it is required. You make salt, if you add salt is tasty. Just because salt, if you add salt it is tasty, you cannot add more and more salt. You can't even keep in your mouth. It will become like that. So Prabhupada says that it should be palatable enough. That much, how much is required. So just to maintain your body, that much should be, sense gratification is allowed. That's all. That much only is allowed. If you indulge more, always, it is said that you cannot perform yoga, the devotional service properly. Always it will be miseries. So that's why Narottama Dasa Thakur says that it's just like if somebody indulges in sense gratification, after hearing so much, even somebody indulges in sense gratification, it is said that Janiya Suniya Vishakainu Hari Hari Bifale Janamagunainu. It's knowingly drinking poison. You know that poison is kept. Get rid of, keep it far. But still you think, little let me take, Prabhu. Little let me taste, little. That's all. It is completely, there was one Prabhupada in a conversation he was telling that how Maya captures you. He gives example about in the local train or local bus in Delhi or Bombay. Anybody has traveled in Bombay trains? You know what is the experience. No? If you get inside the train, you're pushed and got inside. And if you get out, that time also they'll say, no, once I was traveling the train, somebody said, "Kidhar utarna hai?" I said, next stop. Not next stop, after that stop. So side हट जाइए, नहीं तो आप डोर से बाहर निकल जाएंगे. I was surprised. How is that possible? Then I stand one side, and then I saw the people, how they push you out is, if you stand near the door, you will be just pushed out. It will be like that. And in those circumstances, you can see so heavy rush, and you will get a seat. And if you show some compassion, no, somebody will say, "Thoda seat de dijiye baithne ke liye. Give me little to sit." So they will come and sit, and you will call his one more friend, his relative. He will also sit, and after some time we will see how much seat you supposed to get. You will be sitting in one corner. Completely others will occupy your seat. So Prabhupada gives this example. This is how Maya captures. Don't think that little let me enjoy. Completely. Japati adare. Chaitanya says that. So one has to be very, very careful, especially when we perform devotional service, when we engage in devotional service. Sense gratification, Prabhupada in the purport, he says, yes, it has to be indulged as much as required. And too much if you get indulged, completely be captured by Maya. Then you forget what is the actual goal of life is completely lost. I shall stop here. If anybody has any questions, can be asked. Yes.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Yes.
So in relation with today's class only, yesterday I got a message from one student many days back, and the topic was same, that there are many scriptures quoting differently. Devi Bhagavad is glorifying Devi, and Ishwar Gita is glorifying Shiva as the supreme, but your Bhagavad is saying Krishna is supreme. So I tried a little bit to clarify, but I got to understand that he is like Prabhupada says, Mayavada Sunila Bhashya Hoy Sarvanash. So in such a case, he is offending the community, the movement, is trying to offend Bhagavatam, and I am also not liking it so much. So, but I don't want to be angry or anything like that. So, but I also don't want that he misses the opportunity of getting the spiritual life. So, how do we balance this? It is said in Shastras that if someone is offending Vaishnavas, then either you cut off his tongue or you leave that place. But as a preacher, then you have to preach also. So, how do we balance?
Such kind of offenders are there. If you can very easily lose them with lot of arguments and so many things. Okay, but the intelligent way as a preacher always tries to balance so that at least he be with the sangha of swans, Hamsa, instead of trying to get rid of. He tries to balance, give him some prasadam, give him some aspects where he is actually inclined. They'll be mind, okay, in this aspect you don't like, okay, keep it aside. Let us park it. But what else you like about our movement? You may ask. You may like the prasadam distribution. You may like the other things, the devotees' day-to-day life. You may like Sankirtana. So in that way, a preacher is intelligent enough to even capture such kind of souls. And slowly, I have seen many such devotees who are full-time missionaries now. Initially, they were so much arguing, so much this thing, and very intelligently that preacher takes care of him, makes him come to one stand, and slowly involves him. He starts taking prasadam. Prasadam acts actually. Slowly he'll act. And he starts chanting, he starts this thing, and slowly he starts hearing Prabhupada's Bhagavatam, starts reading. So our movement is, you cannot say that completely it is, no, any Mayavadi comes, Darwaja bande, matao. Nahi. So even such kind of so-called offenders also can become devotees.
Imagining the worst case scenario where he's directly offending the Guru, and that is very enraging also. Then in such case also, do we still try,
No,
or
we should make
just
him
put
stop,
aside?
immediately make him stop, not to such an extent, okay. Make him stop at that moment. We should not hear such blasphemy. And slowly divert to some topic, whichever required.
We don't get enraged, but we just maybe
Yeah,
if he's-
peacefully handle. Especially as a preacher, one should take care that he should not be inside it is burning, anger is burning, but of course we should not be externally showing to them, because he is offending Vaishnava Guru. Immediately he has to stop. Let us, if he is too much continuing, then you can send him away.
we should just leave if it's too much.
If he is too much offending and that kind of thing, he has to be avoided. The extreme cases. There is no scope for further, no, he is not liking anything in this movement. Okay, then keep him away. That is best. Yes. Prabhu, I am not able to hear. See, there are degrees. If you see he's a faithless person, it is our responsibility to actually what Prabhupada has given. No, some people are little inquisitive. It looks like they are faithless. But they are not actually faithless, they are little inquisitive. Little igniting of Krishna consciousness is required. They have to be convinced with the philosophy. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, even an atheist actually internally is Krishna conscious. Outwardly is atheist. It is said that Shavanadi Shuddha Chitta Karala Uday. Krishna, what is that verse? Dormant. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai Shavanadi Shuddha Chitta Karala Uday. So every conditioned soul is a Nitya Siddha inside, is a dormant Krishna consciousness there inside. We need to just ignite that. If we just consider everyone faithless, okay, be faithless, whom you will preach? Then Prabhupada wouldn't have established such a worldwide organization. So, to preach a faithless person means to say completely is faithless and he is very much blaspheming devotees, then we should definitely avoid him. And some innocent people are there, you need to understand he really is innocent and he doesn't know. When you start speaking and when you interact, you will come to know what kind of innocence is there. Yes.
This is related to all the three questions. Once I had a query with one of the senior devotees and I was asking a similar question. So Prabhu was explaining me that he had gone to preach to, like he is into this PR related services. He had met one lady who was, like totally, into gross things. And while Prabhu was trying to explain, he was just talking, Prabhu was explaining things to that Mataji. And after 1 hour, Prabhu came to know that she is a nationalist. Though she does not, is fully supporting the movement, after 1 hour of the conversation, he came to know that she is a nationalist. Then Prabhu, from the nationalistic point of view, started explaining how Prabhupada influenced, he spread our India, like Sanatan Dharma in the West. If from that perspective, and he was able to convince that lady, and she became little serious
Gradually
also.
become
So that,
devotee.
yes, Prabhu. So that way a preacher should dovetail and,
Yeah, intelligent enough to preach
Yes,
and
Prabhu. Yes,
make them come to the correct path.
Yes, Prabhu. That thing was that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thanks, Prabhu.
Stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.